Donna Jean now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christy Asby. I'm from Disability Rights, New York. Tonight's program, we are providing ASL interpreting as well as closed captioning. Donna Jean is our interpreter. She's an advocate from Disability Rights, New York. And closed captioning is provided also by selecting on the bottom of your screen the More option with the 3 dots, and you can select Show Subtitles, and that will allow you to have live subtitles for this program. Disability Rights New York, again, is providing this service. We're partnering with Common Cause in this event, and we want to make sure that everybody, every New Yorker who is interested in the issues that you're hearing about tonight has access to this program. Disability Rights New York is the protection and advocacy organization for the state of New York. We help people with disabilities with lots of different issues. Primarily, we are a law office, but we have a very active voting advocacy program. And we also have Donna Jean. She is our ASL interpreter, as well as an advocate for the deaf and hard of hearing community. We will put our information in the chat later on if you're interested in learning more. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Luke Hayes. I'm with Rank the Vote NYC, and we're just going to be talking a little bit about ranked choice voting. A quick recap of what we're going to be, how we're going to be voting in this special election, and how we're going to be voting this June for mayor and other citywide offices. Ranked choice voting is going to be in place, as we've already seen it in place for CD24, and we're going to see it again in just a few weeks here in CD31. So a couple of things to keep in mind. Ranked choice voting will not come into play if a candidate receives over 50% of the vote. So after the votes are counted and a candidate's at over 50%, ranked choice voting will not be needed. But in the likelihood that a candidate does not get over 50%, and that often happens with special elections or primary elections in New York City, we're going to be using ranked choice voting. So what does that mean? It means that you can rank up to 5 candidates that appeal to you for city council, for the special election, and for for mayor, borough president, public advocate, and comptroller. So tonight, as you're watching candidates, you can, if you like 2 of them, if you like 3 of them, if you like 5 of them, you'll be able to rank your preference, your first choice, second choice, third choice, and so forth. So this is just a quick picture of what the ballot looks like. We'll get into the official one in just a moment. But as you see here, you can fill in the bubble next to your preference. So in the same way that we did when we were in school, your kids do in school, they fill out the bubble form. So in this ballot right here, candidate C is the first choice. Candidate B is the second choice. Candidate E is the third choice. D is the fourth choice, and A is the 5th choice. So again, as you're listening to candidates tonight and you find multiple candidates that you like, you can start to think about where you'll rank them as their first choice, second choice, or third choice. Now you can rank up to 5 candidates, or you can just rank 1. You can just say, I'm going to vote for 1 candidate. It's entirely up to you. So this is what your ballot will look like. New York City is very mindful of the many different languages spoken here in this great city. And so when you go into the ballot box to vote early, and you can start voting early this weekend in the special election, you'll be receiving a ballot that looks like this. And you'll see the candidate's name on the left, and over to the right, you can choose your rankings. So depending on which candidate you like or which candidates you like, you can go ahead and fill in your candidates' rankings 1 through 5. And again, you don't have to use all 5 rankings. You can use 1, you can use 2, you can use 4, entirely up to you. What we want to encourage you to do, though, is if you find yourself liking more than 1 candidate, you can now rank your preference. And we really encourage people to do this because it gives you more voice and more power in determining who's going to represent you in city council. So a couple of reminders. Again, ranked choice voting will not kick in if a candidate receives over 50%. They are going to be waiting to count all the ballots. You know, the election day is Tuesday, February 23rd. It is unlikely the winner will be declared that night because we need to count for, you know, absentee ballots and military ballots. And we're going to be counting these ballots as they come in, and the Board of Elections will show where the count is. And if it's not over 50%, we're going to see ranked choice voting come into play, and we'll see what the results are. So a couple things to keep in mind. Again, more choice and more power. So the more people you choose, the more power you have. You don't have to worry about spoiling or voting for a candidate that you may not be your first choice. You can put your first choice, second choice, third choice entirely up to you. And just something to keep in mind as you're watching this forum tonight, if multiple candidates appeal to you, you can start to think, where do you want to rank them? First, second, or third? Your rankings do not hurt your first choice candidate. So if you put someone second or third, you're not hurting your first choice candidate. It doesn't work like that. And this is really a great way for you to think about what issues are important to you and which candidates really appeal to those issues. So I'm going to pass it back to the forum, and thank you so much. We encourage all of you to keep these rankings in mind as you're listening to the candidates debate tonight.
Hi, everybody. So my name is Brigid Bergin. I'm from WNYC in Gothamist, and I am really pleased to be here with my colleague David Brand from the Queens Daily Eagle to talk to you about all of the candidates who are appearing to run in the 31st City Council District election. I'm going to introduce the candidates who we have with us tonight. We have Manny Silva, the former Chief of Staff to Councilmember Donovan Richards. Pesach Osina, most recently, who served as the Queensborough Director for New York City Controller Scott Stringer's office. Nancy Martinez, a small business owner. Shawn Rux, the Deputy Superintendent for District 29 in Queens. Latanya Collins, who has served in the New York City public school system for almost 2 decades. LaToya Benjamin, Director of Economic Development for State Senator James Sanders. And Nicole Lee, a lifelong organizer. And I turn it over to David to give us the ground rules.
Thank you, Brigid. And I'm excited to be here. This is New York City's second test of ranked choice voting. And we saw a couple weeks ago in Council District 24 elsewhere in Queens that first test of ranked choice voting didn't actually turn out to be much of a test of ranked choice voting. One candidate ran away with it. So all eyes are on District 31 right now with, we'll see how this breaks, and looking forward to hearing from the candidates in just a few moments. But I want to talk about some ground rules. Special elections are unique. There are no typical party lines. Special rules for special elections. We have some special rules for this forum. We're going to keep it about an hour total. So that means we'll be finished at 6:30, 10 minutes in so far. We ask candidates limit their responses to a minute and a half. And if you start to go too far off topic, we'll prompt you to come back to the question at hand. I'd like to give everyone a chance. We have a lot of candidates. Give everyone a chance to respond. This is a forum, not a debate. This is less about specific district issues and more about how candidates are adapting to ranked choice voting. Don't expect this to happen, but if things do get testy, we reserve the right to mute if there's a lot of crosstalk. If someone is mentioned by name, then they will have the opportunity to respond. But again, this is more of a forum about ranked choice voting and less about specific district issues right now. We also want to take questions from the audience at the end. So audience members, people tuning in, you can put your questions into the chat window. And if we have some time at the end, we're going to ask those. And here's the most important thing for our candidates and our viewers. Early voting starts Saturday. So make your plan to vote. We don't know if there's going to be a snowstorm or several. So get out there. Get out there and vote early. All right. Again, I'm David Brand. I'm editor of the Queens Daily Eagle. also the host of a Sunday morning news show on WBAI 99.5 FM called City Watch, where we talk to movers and shakers in Queens and New York City and New York State. So maybe the winner of this election will come on the show. Council District 31, like every New York City council district, is very diverse with people of various races, ethnicities, income levels, religions, and backgrounds. There is, of course, a large Black and African American population in the district, Latino and South Asian residents. There's also a significant Orthodox Jewish community. Now, the district is also interesting geographically because it's really split into two distinct areas. There's the peninsula communities, Arverne, Far Rockaway, Edgemere, and then there's mainland Queens, Southeast Queens, Laurelton, Rosedale, Springfield Gardens. So I want to ask each of the candidates, and we're going to start with the order that Brigid just listed, everyone. I'm going to ask these questions. First to Manny Silva, how does the district's geography and population influence your campaign outreach and how you are approaching reaching out to constituents? And that's to Manny, who I think.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so our district is very unique, as you mentioned. We are probably, I think, the third largest geographically city council district in New York City. And how does that affect how we do the work? As far as the campaign goes, we try to look at each neighborhood specifically and address the issues of each neighborhood uniquely. And each neighborhood has its own very special issues. As far as our campaign goes, I don't want to reveal our outreach methods with my competitors here, but I do want to say that we take a unique approach to every single neighborhood, and we treat every single neighborhood just like that. Culturally, every neighborhood has its own culture. And as far as issues go, every neighborhood has its own issues. We focus on every neighborhood, and my time as the chief of staff for the former council member has given me the unique opportunity to not only build relationships in every single neighborhood in every corner of this district, I've also learned about what's important to everybody in every single neighborhood. I can tell you what issues on any block within the district. I can tell you exactly what the issues there are and what we're going to do to address those issues.
Well, thank you. Let's ask the same question to Mr. Osina. How does the district's geography and diversity influence your outreach and how you are getting out your ranked choice voting message?
So David, first of all, I just want to thank you for allowing me to come on this forum and to be part of it. So that's a very interesting question, and I appreciate the question. So over the past 7 years, as you mentioned before, I was Queensborough Director for the City Comptroller's Office. As you know, Queens is a community of communities. Every 4 blocks, it's the most diverse borough, in the world. And my role in the Comptroller's Office, it really allowed me, with my team, while my team was focusing on the entire borough, it allowed me to focus my resources both on the Rockaways in Southeast Queens. Now, this allowed me to become an educator. It allowed me to become an advocate and a problem solver for all the communities. It allowed me to work with all the communities, to meet stakeholders from every single community, to bridge the gaps between communities. And I think that that's the way we have to look at it, that every community really has the same issues. There are the best solutions that are happening in every community. And what we all need to do is we need to take those best solutions and not reinvent in all the different communities, make key stakeholder meetings and take the best practices from one and implement it in all the other communities.
Thank you. I was going to go to Ms. Nancy Martinez next, but I see she stepped away for a moment. So let's go to Mr. Shawn Rux. I'm sorry, Dr. Shawn Rux. Same question to you. How does the geography and the diversity of the district affect the way that you're campaigning, especially with ranked choice voting?
Right, it is a great question. And we know that each neighborhood has unique needs. It's a large district, and to be honest, it's a district that hasn't been considered for quite some time. Just as a candidate said, it's an extremely large district, and that really creates problems for any campaign who's really going up against the machine, of course. And look, our goal is to really speak to every constituent because every voice matters. And we really want to just speak to as many people, hear as many concerns, and regardless of where people are from, we know that we have people who are struggling all across the district, and our goal is just to hear those needs, meet those needs, and do whatever we can to ensure that not only is every voice heard, but that needs are met in a timely fashion.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Nancy Martinez, how are you approaching your campaigning with the diverse district that you're trying to represent? How does the geography and the diversity of the district affect that? I think, Ms. Martinez, you're still muted.
Okay, my apologies. Okay.
No problem.
The way that I'm approaching it is I've been in healthcare for over 20 years. And I've serviced the 5 boroughs, Suffolk County, Nassau County. My vocational training school is Allied Health, in which we train in diverse different languages, how to take care of disabled, handicapped seniors, everyone who has a special need. And I have touched many, many lives. So to me, the district, since I touched so many lives, I know through different sectors, because the 31st is quite large, as to actually what is the concerns and the problems of the citizens of the district, as well as being a small business owner myself and sitting on many chairs, the Joseph Adabo Health Center, Community Board 14, and being chair of Rockaway East Merchant Association, I hear the concerns of small business as well as the healthcare industry, as well as the community at large.
Thank you. And let's go to Latanya Collins. Same question to you. How does the district's geography and diverse population influence your campaign outreach?
I believe that the diversity in the geography is a unique area, and we try not to at all let it influence it in a bad way. We're deliberate in making sure that there's equity and going out and sharing the message, making sure that the campaign is loud on the Rockaways, loud on the mainland. As an educator, I am very familiar with diversity and making sure that I'm touching the needs of every student, every family, and every community. So it hasn't been a challenge. It's really something that I take pride in doing. I glorify the fact that we have a diverse community, and I look forward to sharing the message about ranked choice voting and the voice that each constituent gets to use in that process.
Thank you. And let's go to LaToya Benjamin. Same question. How does the district's geography and population influence your campaign outreach?
Thank you for the question. Being a lifelong resident here in Southeast Queens, the geography or the diversity isn't anything new. All right. So one of the things our approach specifically has been around educating the community around ranked choice voting. It's a completely new concept. Many of our community residents are not aware of it. So I've been very strategic and intentional on just educating the community on the new election law. In terms of outreach, it's very unique dealing with COVID. As you guys know, our district was the first place where the COVID pandemic actually broke out. So in our 2 major demographics are, in terms of age, are baby boomers and millennials, and we're dealing with the digital divide issue. So in terms of outreach, we have to be strategic about which market we're talking to in terms of age and what that strategy is to ensure that we maintain safety due to COVID, as well as, just making sure that we're reaching the community. I think we've been really effective with that. But so we have to do different strategies based off the demographics and tackling COVID and educating the masses on ranked choice voting.
Thank you. And finally, Nicole Lee, how is the district's geography and diverse population influencing your campaign outreach?
Great. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. Again, I agree with LaToya. I'm a lifelong Queens resident myself for over 39 years. I'm an entrepreneur for over 20 years and have been advocating for as much time as that. So I'm used to diversity and the geography of our community. I basically know we have multiple languages here. So a lot of my team speaks certain languages in certain areas, and that was able to help me speak to the mass of our diverse community. So that's one thing I wanted to say. I also agree with the education of ranked choice voting. We spend a lot of time educating the community about that so they could understand that you could have one choice. If they do have a number one, they can pick me as number two, which I have seen pros and cons about that. But either way, we're here to give information and outreach to the community. And this has been a great experience thus far. So thank you so much for that question and having me here today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone, for your responses and also talking about education with ranked choice voting. And that's what we're hoping to do here today. And so I'll turn it over to my colleague, Brigid.
Thanks, David. I'm going to change the order a little bit. We'll start with Pesach in this next question. As David said, we've had one test of ranked choice voting, and that test was not a test. So now we are looking at this next special election, again, with a lot of candidates on the ballot. The question is, after looking at the outcome in District 24, where the ranked choice voting didn't actually come into play, has that changed the way you have campaigned? And Pesach, we'll start with you.
So this is a very different race, again, just to go off the bat, it's a very different race than Council District 24. The one thing with ranked choice voting that I would say is it's allowing myself as a candidate to help build the bridges of all the other communities out there. Whereas in other races, you might say someone got an endorsement from this specific Democratic organization, you would throw them under the bus, or you wouldn't, try to reach out or have outreach from them again. The same thing with the civic organization or community-based organization. I think ranked choice voting as a candidate really allows me to continue what I've been doing over the past number of years, which is help building the bridges, help, working with the gaps, and help, working with every single community-based organization and stakeholder that's out there. Ideologically, it lends itself where it allows me to create the unity that I've been working so hard to strive.
Isaac, thank you so much. Let's go next to Nancy Martinez. Nancy, again, the question was about, given the fact that we've had one special election where the ranked choice option didn't really come into play, has that changed anything about how you are campaigning now with your election just about to begin?
No, not really. It hasn't changed the way I've been campaigning. This is something that we're definitely going to see an outcome because it's such a diverse group of candidates. And also, it's just going to be very special to see because we're all campaigning through a pandemic. A lot of us did not get the endorsements of elected officials. So, it's interesting. It's quite interesting. And I just want to see the outcome. We're all campaigning, friendly campaign, and we're all doing it, a lot of remote digital stuff and make sure that our voices are out there. But it's quite interesting. I'm also, waiting to see the outcome.
Thanks, Nancy. Dr. Rux, how about you?
Yeah, I actually think that it's absolutely different. I think these two races are completely different and really opposite of each other, in regards to how candidates are actually set up to split the vote in this race. However, ranked choice voting has made it that we work together. Campaigns are collaborating on a level that I don't think New York City has seen before. So granted, there are some pros and cons, but it's also exciting as well. And I believe that it levels the playing field.
Thank you. Latanya, what about you?
So I've been an educator for many years, a special education teacher across the continuum of services. And what I've been doing as I've been speaking to constituents about this new ranked choice voting in New York State is I've been using the previous election as a model, an opportunity to educate constituents on what can happen, why it's important to make sure you not only fill in for all 5 choices, but what can happen if someone just particularly just puts a bubble for one person. So I've just been using it as an opportunity as a model and as a way to share and educate constituents as I'm campaigning, referring to what we saw within that district as well. So I don't think that, in any area I would be changing the way that I'm campaigning, just using it as an example or a model on what we could see on a ballot.
Thanks, LaTanya. LaToya, how about you?
Yeah, so I think I agree that, District 24 is a lot different from our district. So I think the outcome would be different. However, I do see that ranked choice voting has completely revolutionized how Southeast Queens looks at politics and local elections. Usually, the culture is that more than likely candidates with major endorsements are more than likely to win or influence the masses to get the votes. Where now with ranked choice voting, it has opened the minds of voters in a sense where they don't have to feel obligated to vote one way. They can actually take a deeper look at all of the candidates and determine who represents their issues the best. And I think regardless of what the outcome is on February 23rd, that local politics will never be the same, specifically in Southeast Queens.
Thanks, LaToya. Nicole, how about you?
So yeah, I think that ranked choice voting has brought a lot of innovation to my campaign. I think that you get a chance to reach the community in a different way, not necessarily just from getting endorsements, but a lot of candidates decided to pair up and make people number 1, 2, 3s. Sometimes that can be a great thing if they're aligned together. If their message is the same, then I believe that it may be beneficial or it may not. So we're still on the fence with it. I've been having, like I said, some positive feedback and negative feedback about ranked choice voting. So it definitely has brought innovation and creativity to my campaigning. It actually did change the way we started campaigning and educating people. We have some other collaborations that we've been thinking about. So we'll see if that will make sense to go further with. But other than that, I think that it would definitely play a part in the 31st district in this February 23rd special election. We have a lot of candidates on the ballot, and I definitely don't think that any particular person is going to get 50%, over 50%. So I definitely think that ranked choice voting would be something that's going to happen for our election. And I'm excited to see it.
Thanks, Nicole. And Manny, we will come back to you since you started our first question. Just to recap, the question is the fact that we did not see ranked choice voting come into play in the first special election in CD 24. Has that impacted your strategy in your special election?
Yes, so that has definitely impacted my strategy, and I will tell you why. What do we see in District 24? What we saw are the candidates not working together at all. I didn't see any candidate in that race endorse another candidate. Now in this race, we're seeing a lot of that, but so far I'm the only candidate that decided to put his values where put his values ahead of his own, his own political interests. However, what we also saw in District 24 was the fact that you had a 12-year incumbent, Jim Gennaro, and Jim Gennaro has a base. He had a base, and we also saw very low turnout, extremely low turnout. In 24, there was about half as much turnout as we saw in 2013's District 31 race. So what we have to do is anticipate that there might be lower turnout now, in this race than there was in 2013, and then work with that. And even with knowing that, that means we have to stop focusing so much on just educating people on ranked choice. And now we also have to focus on just making sure people come out to vote. Doesn't matter who they're voting for as long as they're voting, but to spend so much money with such a low turnout, I think is a disservice to everybody. And we have to make sure as we spend taxpayers' money with our public matching funds, we're getting people out to the polls. So that has been, the change in my focus is it's not all about Manny. It's also about just getting people out to the polls while educating them on ranked choice.
Manny, thank you so much. And David, I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Brigid. All right, so Manny, you just mentioned you put your values first when it comes to ranked choice voting, and you are going to rank your ballot, and you did that a few days ago at a press conference with a few of the candidates here. So let's hear, who is your ballot?
So yes, and I didn't. My ballot is my ballot. It is not based on any other candidate or me trying to throw any other candidate under the bus. And I do want to make that very clear. I chose the people on my ballot based on where they stand and the future of our Democratic Party and how vocal they've been on
Noted.
The future. It is not about another candidate. However, the people I chose for my ballot is myself as number 1, number 2, Sherwin James, number 3, Nancy Martinez, and number 4, LaToya Benjamin. And that's how I'll be voting.
And you're going to leave that fifth spot blank?
But now, that doesn't mean, I may change my mind, but this is based off of what I've heard from the candidates and the candidates who are in line with me when it comes to creating some transparency in our political process and in politics in general.
All right, well, thank you for being bold with that answer. And let's see if other candidates are willing to make the same type of bold pronouncement here. Let's make some news. All right, let's go to LaToya Benjamin. You were just listed as Manny's 4th choice. Do you want to rank your ballot here? Let us know.
I do not want to rank my ballot here. Very interesting. I think, the concept of ranked choice voting is extremely new. And I think it's important that when you do decide to rank other candidates, that you want to be clear about the politics and the politics behind the politics, and really who has the best interest of the voting district of the 31st. So I've had many conversations with many of the candidates on the line today. And I think it's important to not just do ranked choice voting for the sake of ranked choice voting. It sounds good, right? But in application and delivery, it can be a different conversation. And I am interested in running as a candidate with my values first. And a part of my values is to be honest and truthful about the partnerships and collaborations that I choose to work with on behalf of our community. And I think that.
Yeah, just follow up on that. So do you plan to rank it and you don't want to tell us, or are you just going to only vote for yourself?
Well, I do plan to rank. I do plan to rank now because, after really understanding the system and listening to our constituents, I think it's in the best interest because, we don't believe anyone's going to come out with 51%. So, but in terms of what does that slate looks like, that's to be further discussed. All
right. You don't want to make some news here, I guess. That's all right. We're gonna get back to that in the next week and a half or so. But all right, same question, Nicole Lee. Tell us your ballot.
Yeah, I'm on the same wavelength with LaToya. I do have a ballot in mind, and it's a pretty great ballot. I think that we have a lot of similar values, and this mission seems to be the same. And I'm really excited for that announcement, but we are not going to make that here today. But I definitely do have a ballot, and like I said, it's very important to me to make sure that we are aligned together and we have conversations and everybody is on the same level with the same mission. Win or lose, these are the people that I would like to work with going forward for whatever outcome that happens. But yes, I definitely have a ballot. I definitely have at least 3 people on that ballot that I'm considering that we're talking about. And I'm just excited to see how that will look to the community. But I think that everyone that we have in mind is aligned together and have the same mission. And that's exactly what we need to see, the diversity in this community.
Okay, thank you. So let's ask same question to Nancy Martinez. Ms. Martinez, you were at that press conference with Manny Silva, and he listed you as one of the people that he's going to list on his ballot. Talk to us about your ballot. Who are you ranking?
I definitely will be ranking on election day when I do vote. Manny Silva and I have been speaking through this whole campaign. I see his views. I see the way that he is passionate about doing for his community. He's a young man that's striving. He will definitely be my number 3. As far as my number 2 and the rest of the candidates that choose not to speak, I am a small business owner and a resident of the Rockaways for 40 years. I want to see change. It's time for change, especially being in healthcare and seeing all that this pandemic has brought to our district and to our entire nation. I'm just not going to be handing over someone a seat. You have to earn the 31st council seat.
And so who represents that change? Who's going to be your number 2?
I'm not going to say who my number 2 is, since the rest of the candidates don't want to be fair about ranking or who they're going to rank. Everybody is like so secretly about it. But I tell you, I'm going to rank myself as number 1, and I will be ranking Manny as number 3. My 2nd and 4th and 5th choice, I will reserve that today.
All right. Well, again, just like some of the other candidates, we're going to have to check back in a couple of days and see who wants to make news.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get a news article about this. Candidates rank, and this is a good chance to get out there. So, all right. Same question, Dr. Shawn Rux. Tell us your ballot.
Sure, I'll tell you this. I've had some very fruitful conversations, and this evening I will keep it close to the chest and just know that my list will be released very, very soon. But I'm looking forward to it. And look, I think it's a wonderful time to have great conversations and collaborate. And look, I can let you know that when it comes to transparency, I will not be ranking those candidates who have already failed.
Okay, I want to ask you who that is, but then that could open a whole new can of worms. Do you want to say 1 or 2 people who you do plan to rank?
I'll say this very, very soon that full, complete, transparent list will be released.
All right. Well, thank you for that response, I guess. Let's go to Mr. Osina. Who will be on your ballot?
So again, I appreciate, the question and, referring to the ballot. So let's just go back to ranked choice voting for a second. Ranked choice voting is, when we talk about the candidates on here, there's a lot of candidates that, I've known for a long period amount of time, and there's some that I'm just getting to meet now. And one thing about ranked choice voting, it's creating a future. It's allowing that whoever should win this campaign already has a relationship with another candidate, right? Whoever's gonna win, there's relationships there. Relationships are being built, which allows for that person to jump in and work on the community needs the first day. So again, there's a lot of great candidates out there. Some I'm still in the process of getting to know, some that I've known for a long time. Each one, has their strengths and weaknesses, just like my children. And, and I'm gonna keep it at that for today.
Okay, so Brigid, we got a few answers there. Something to work with, I guess. Be looking forward to hearing in the coming days if anyone is willing to share. But turn it back over to you.
Thanks, David, and thanks for those answers. Latanya, did we get Latanya's ballot too?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think we missed.
Did I miss you on
I think
that?
we
I
missed Latanya.
apologize for
I
that.
thought you were just gonna go ahead and skim over me, and that would have been quite
No.
all right.
Well, thanks, Brigid. Sorry about that, Ms. Collins.
You know what? That's a very good question, because at the end of the day, we are voters as well. And the person who is in the seat is definitely going to have an effect on us, in the district. I will tell you this, I'm voting for myself as a number one because I think that I am the best choice. I will be filling my ballot up 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I will tell you that I am voting for change. But as far as specifics, we are still campaigning and we are still doing forums and we are still sharing our messages. And I would like to wait until closer to the end before I share that. My vote is, I'm going to keep it private at this time.
Thanks, Latanya.
Sorry
So I'm going to jump in here and ask you a question I think you all can answer, because you may actually be doing this, which is you all, as you are campaigning, need to be talking to your potential constituents and potential voters about ranked choice voting. And you need to do it fast, because keeping a voter's attention and helping them understand this, while you may want to spend a lot of time with them, and in some cases maybe you do, my guess is for a lot of voters, you only have a few seconds with them to give them both your pitch and the pitch about ranked choice voting. And so can you give us your 30-second, this is the election, give us your pitch, this is the election, this is ranked choice voting, this is why it matters. And why don't we start with Latanya, because we will not, since you were just talking,
Okay.
we'll go right back to you.
So hi, I'm Latanya Collins. I am running under a push for change. I'm looking to see and push for equity in the district, focusing on sustainability across the board, economic sustainability as far as our environment, making sure that we are safe, equity and access in our district as far as education, and the digital divide. Taking a look at that. I want to make sure we have a safe community in regards to what's happening with COVID-19 and the air pollution that we're having and the connection with that. And I would like for you to take the opportunity to vote for me on February 23rd. We have a new voting system. It is called ranked choice voting, where you get the opportunity to vote for up to 5 candidates. So please take the opportunity to research us all, but I would like it if you would rank me as your number one choice to represent the 31st District in Queens.
And Latanya, you always ask people to rank you number one. You never ask them to say, hey, if I'm not your number one, make me your number two, make me your number three, make me your number.
Well, yes, I leave that open. When I let them know that they have the opportunity to vote for 5 different candidates, the door is, this is my spiel and this is what I'm bringing to the table, but you have the opportunity to also pick 4 other candidates. So it's almost like a spur for them to say, hey, this is, I don't have to just vote for one person. There's an opportunity for me to vote for others. Now, I don't take the time to share the platform of the others, but I do let them know that the option is there. When I'm there, I want them to know about me and my platform and my candidacy, but I do let them know that there are other candidates running. Sometimes I'll even tell them the amount, and I leave that opportunity open for them to say, let's see who else is out there as well.
Thanks, Latanya.
Anytime.
LaToya, let's go to you. So your quick pitch, but focusing really on how you tell a voter about ranked choice voting and how your campaign has been trying to tell voters about this new system.
Yeah, so, it's just as simple as, hi, I'm LaToya, City Council candidate for District 31. Did you know there's going to be a special election taking place in our district on February 23rd to replace former council member Donovan Richards? Most oftentimes people say no. And then I'll say, okay, awesome. Well, here's my brochure, information on who I am, lifetime resident of Southeast Queens, CUNY graduate. On our brochures, we have on the back of my ballot, on the back of my brochure, how people can properly fill out the ballot to choose me as first choice. Now, if there is a voter who says, sorry, I'm already committed to another candidate, then I'll say, awesome. Do you know about ranked choice voting? If you already are committed, can you please make me your number second? And this is how it looks on the ballot.
Great, thanks, LaToya. Ms. Martinez, how about you?
Well, I'll usually start with, hey, hello, my name is Nancy Martinez. I'm running for city council in the 31st Council District. Ask me what I have done for the community, not what I'm promising to do. I have been training, educating, and providing jobs for the last 20 years. I have my own business, so I know the struggle of business, and I'm from day one been out here providing service through this whole pandemic. So this is a special election, it's ranked choice voting. I would appreciate if you vote me as your number one. And if I'm not your number one, then vote me as your number two.
Great. Thank you, Nancy. Sorry, I'm hearing maybe somebody's phone. Dr. Rux, what about you?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And so typically after I introduce myself to someone and we're engaging in conversation, when the topic of ranked choice voting comes up, I simply try to explain it as in the simplest forms. I tell people it's kind of like choosing lunch. You're at a meeting and you get the lunch menu and you have an opportunity to pick five meals. You choose your favorite first. So if there's hamburgers on that menu and you want a hamburger, that's your first choice. However, that hamburger may not be available. So what would you want second? Like if you couldn't get that burger, then maybe you'd want a hot dog, etc., or some French fries. So I really try to explain in those simplest terms, and people have been really receptive to that and understanding, and it's been coming across very clear to them. And then, and the reality is too, I say to them, I would love to be your number one choice, but I'd also be happy just to be ranked on your ballot. So be happy with any other ranking, but definitely looking for that first choice vote as well. And I think that those conversations and informing people of that process has been very helpful in regarding to what ranked choice voting is.
Thank you. Manny, how about you?
So I don't promote any other candidates while door knocking or speaking to, I'll promote them sometimes when talking about how I'm going to vote on ranked choice. The other thing is when it comes to ranked choice voting, you just throw that at the end of your pitch and say, hey, and this year you can vote for 5 candidates. You don't have to choose one. If I ever run into somebody who is a fan of somebody else, my first job is to flip them, to be a fan of me. Second job, if that is impossible, is to ask them to put me as their number 2. And so far, from what we've seen at the doors, we're pretty, we're doing all right.
And Mr. Osina, how about you?
So thank you for the question. Again, it's so what I start off is really telling them a little about myself, about my work, my ethics, that I've been out here in the community working for the past 20-something years and helping out with all the diverse groups. Started off with working with community-based organizations, creating diverse groups to help, the families of the community regarding feeding the food, regarding making sure that they're, getting the joy, from the holidays, and then working on and establishing the first community emergency response team, in right after the 9/11, and then right away moving that to become an executive team member in Regional Red Rockaway, where we're able to help the resilience of the community. And just from being around, after Superstorm Sandy, where the needs of the community was put way before myself, then way before the needs of the community was put way before my family, which my wife even tells me that the same day. But again, regardless of outcome, I could just tell you what a member of the faith-based community told me the other day, that we may have differences, but we're still part of the one district. And again, that's the motto. When there's unity, there's strength. And what we're trying to do we're talking about my record, about bringing the inclusion of all the voices, that regardless of the outcome, that I will represent everybody in this district.
Thank you so much. I think, and Nicole, I apologize, Nicole, what about you?
That's okay. So you were talking about my pitch and how I explain ranked choice voting to the voters, right?
Yeah, so the question is, how do you, your quick pitch, and how do you make ranked choice voting and educating ranked choice voting part of your pitch, part of your campaign strategy?
So basically, I start off by introducing myself. Hi, my name is Nicole Lee. I'm an entrepreneur for over 20 years, a community activist, a special needs advocate. Our goal is to bring access to capital for both small business owners, create more jobs, bring more programs into our school system. Did you know that there's a special election on February 23rd? And they said, oh, I really didn't know that. Okay, did you know about ranked choice voting? Oh, no, we didn't know about that as well. Okay, you have an option to rank 5 individuals, candidates. And if you do not have a number 1, I would like to be your number 1. If you do have a number 1, you can rank me number 2. And then I usually have information on ranked choice voting on my flyers, and also a link so they can scan to get more information about voting for me and ranked choice voting. So that's usually how I do my pitch and my door knocking for ranked choice. And when I do come out with my team, I will be doing the same thing, advocating for them as well as myself. So that's my plan and what I've been doing thus far.
Nicole, thank you so much. I'll ask everybody one more. We're gonna do sort of a lightning round question here. And I'm gonna just go based on the way you are organized on my Zoom screen. And that question is, of course, this is a special election, but because of the way our election law is constructed, it just means it's the beginning of a cycle of elections. There will be a primary again in June that is open to anyone who petitions to get on the ballot and run in that primary. And so the question is, if you do not win in this special election, or even if you do you intend to run again in the June primary? And Dr. Rux, let's start with you.
Sure. Just to be clear, this is not a game. Absolutely. We are moving full speed ahead, 100 miles per hour. You will see me in February, March, April, May, and June, 100%.
Mr. Osina?
Yes, again, I appreciate the question. I think right now what we need to do is we need to focus on the task at hand. The task at hand really is making sure we have a district that was totally hit by COVID. We've totally, that was one of the hardest hit districts. What we need to do is we need to focus. We need to create a unity coalition of working together and winning this election.
So will you be running again in June?
Again, I think that's something right now we're working on creating that coalition.
So no answer.
We have to get past this election. We have to get past this election first. Right now, we have to focus on here petitioning, again, with kudos to the state for changing petitioning afterwards. The focus right now has to be the task at hand, making sure that the residents of this district have the representation that they need.
So we'll take that as a to be continued, to be seen.
TBD. Yeah.
Yes. Ms. Collins, what about you?
So yes, once I win this election, I'm also going to have to prepare for the primary. So I'm gearing up for that as well.
Wonderful. Ms. Benjamin?
Yes, I do plan on, God willing, winning this election and running in the primary. The only way I would not run in the primary is if one of my ranked choice, if my ranked choice votes win, then I will be supporting that candidate.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes, I do plan to run again after I win this 31st City Council district seat. And it's time for a change. The 31st Council district needs a lot of work. It needs individuals that know the hard work that is for the small businesses, for the healthcare. It's just tremendous what we're undergoing. So definitely we have to run as many times as we have to run.
And Mr. Silva?
So I'm not in this for a title or for attention. If I win, I do plan on running in the primary, obviously. But if I lose, it depends on how I lose. It depends on what the results are. And I will let you know right now, my supporters are pushing me and they really want to see me run no matter what. However, I'm not trying to run just for the sake of running to say that I ran. It really all depends on what the results look like.
Ms. Lee, what about you?
So yes, I'm gonna do whatever it takes until the last ballot is counted from now into June. I'm gonna speak into existence like everyone else. When I do win this election, I will continue to run in the primary in June. So you will be seeing me again. Hopefully you saw me before, since I've been an active community activist in this area for over 20 years. So just look out for Nicole Lee. Lee for Jobs is on the ballot. And do not forget, February 23rd is special election and February 13th is early voting.
And thanks. And I'm going to turn it back over to David.
Thank you, Brigid, and thank you to all the candidates for participating. We have a couple great questions in the chat window. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get to them because of time constraints, but the candidates will be back on the hot seat in about like 4 or 5 minutes on another forum. So I urge you to check that out and see what they have to say. And we're going to see if candidates are willing to reveal their ballots. Something that LaToya Benjamin just said in her response, she's not going to run if her ranked candidate wins. So now we really need to see who that is. I want to thank our organizers, Common Cause New York, Rank the Vote, Disability Rights New York, Brigid Bergin, my co-host, journalist I really admire from WNYC. I'm David Brand from the Queen's Eagle and WBAI. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you,
having
guys.
us.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.